Watch out, it's the warning track.
Welcome back to another episode of The Warning Track. I'm your host, Clayton McMahon. Recording this Thursday, March 26th. So we just had opening night last night, so I don't know if today's opening day or what we're calling that. I kind of feel like it's an interesting way. Major League Baseball is rolling out the start of the season here, but what do I know? I'm just a kid from Woodburn. Hopefully this episode will be a lot less sneezing filled. Definitely not feeling 100% still, but should be better than Tuesday, especially for anybody who watched First and 15. That was probably rough, so I should have had Ethan solo that or something. But thank you for tuning in. Really excited for the season to start. Obviously, we had our first real baseball game for fantasy purposes last night with the Yankees versus the Giants. We'll get into that. We'll kind of get into a little bit of tonight's games, as well as kind of just talking. I mean, draft stuff's obviously done now, but just maybe talking about some of the guys, looking at my three teams this year, some of the names that I'm the most excited for and was happy to get. So first things first, we'll kind of just get into this Giants-Yankees game. Kind of looking at the box score. Wasn't able to watch the game last night, but I watched the highlights. Logan Webb, I'm not going to say he pitched great, but I don't know if the box score fully indicates how he pitched. He obviously got lit up for 5 runs in the second inning, but outside of that, I don't think he was terrible. To me, that yesterday's game, and it shouldn't be surprising considering it's the first game of the year, but yesterday's game, I would say, is just defined by rust. I mean, we saw wild pitches. We saw, throwing errors, throws going into, runners, hitting runners. Even on the Yankee side, even though they came out on top, Jose Caballero botched like a very simple, at least appeared simple ground ball to him at shortstop. So, obviously, it's not how you want to start the season is having your, a lot of people, especially if you went like hitter heavy and waited into like the 5th round or so, a lot of people probably have Logan Webb as their top starting pitcher. So it's not really, well, it's definitely not what you want to see because at the end of the day, he gave up 7 runs, 6 of them were earned across 5 innings. He did have 7 strikeouts, so at least gave you some of that. Still not ideal. On the Yankees side, it was interesting. Aaron Judge was the only Yankee to not get a hit yesterday. And not only did he not have a hit, he struck out 4 times, the old golden sombrero. So I'm sure people are going to be freaking out about that. If anybody in my 3 leagues are watching this who have Judge and want to get rid of him for less than they paid for him, I will happily deal with that. So, like I said, not an ideal start for Judge, not an ideal start for Webb. Max Fried, I thought, looked really good. 6 1/3, 4 strikeouts, but only gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, so really good whip. So anybody took Max Fried, he was coming off a stellar season in his first year with the Yankees, and so I think you're very encouraged by that. Last year led the league in wins, 19.5, sub-3 ERA. Just under a K per 9, so put up really good numbers. Really encouraged by that. Like I said, it's only one game. I actually don't have any Yankees, funny enough, across all 3 of my leagues. But I do have Rafael Devers in 2 of them, as well as Matt Chapman in 2 leagues, and then Willie Adames in 1. So was definitely hoping the Giants wouldn't get shut out in the first game, but they did. Obviously, it's a long season, so there's still 161 games left to do something. Getting into today is weird because there still is not a full slate of games. Like looking at some of my teams, half the people aren't even playing. So some teams aren't even making their debut until tomorrow, Friday. Kind of a weird deal. But looking at some of the matchups, we have Cleveland versus Seattle, the Diamondbacks versus the Dodgers. My Tigers are going up against the Padres. Astros versus Angels, Cubs versus Nationals, Brewers versus White Sox, Rangers versus Phillies, Cardinals versus Rays. A lot of interleague. I know it's obviously far from the days of doing it only like for a week each year, but kind of interesting that they're doing a bunch of interleague play to start the year. I said Phillies, Rangers, and then Dodgers, Diamondbacks. I think that's it for today. Pirates, Mets, Twins, Orioles, Red Sox, Reds. So most teams are playing, but not quite everybody. Not quite everybody. Some of the teams that are not playing today still are the Athletics, the Marlins, the Braves. Who else? The Athletics. The Royals. So still a few teams that won't be making their debuts until tomorrow. But I don't know about you guys, definitely excited for it. Seems like, I don't know. I think for me, I usually always it's kind of maybe late January when I kind of start really getting into the fantasy baseball stuff. Obviously, there's content year-round for it, but was really excited for that. So, yeah, I think looking at my team, first I was looking at my Hundo squad. So this was the slow draft I was doing last week. I think the one guy on here that I'm really excited for, of all the people I got, I think is Jacob Marcy. Normally, I feel like Marcy is a guy. Oh, somebody's interested. Okay. Normally, I feel like Marcy's the type of guy I would not be too interested in. Wasn't necessarily like a high end prospect coming out of the minors, and then had a solid year, but he's on a bad team. Doesn't have much of a track record. But especially considering I was kind of lagging behind in steals a little bit, looking at his numbers. I can't remember if we talked about him much during draft season, but last year in only 55 games with the Marlins, he hit 5 homers, 14 stolen bases, 28 runs, 33 RBIs, and batted .292 with 22 walks to 48 strikeouts with 842 OPS. Average that out to 162 games, full season. 15 homers, 41 stolen bases, 82 runs, nearly 100 RBIs. The way Baseball Reference does it is just batting average and stuff would be the same, obviously, because that's where he averaged out. And then 65 walks to 141 strikeouts. So, I mean, a 15-40 season with 80 runs, 100 ribbies, basically batting 300 sounds pretty good to me. Obviously, people are not projecting him to do quite all that because otherwise he would probably be, drafted in the first 3 or 4 rounds. But excuse me. I feel like this is just, and if you look at his minor league numbers, I should have pulled up the MLB top prospects list from last year. Because like I said, I don't even think he ranked in like the top 15, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was in like the top 20. Yeah, he was 24th overall as of the 2025 team rankings on MLB.com. But if you look at his numbers, I mean, the number, maybe not so much the average. I definitely do expect the average to drop. But 3 of the 4 years had an 800-plus OPS. We're seeing similar steal numbers. Even the year that he was bad, 47, 51, 46. Similar plate discipline. I mean, 3 years ago had more walks than strikeouts, which I always love. I really love to see that in a prospect. Last year, 68 to 81, 92, 135. Homers always based about the same in the low mid-teens. Spread it out. Oh, Fort Wayne. Okay, I knew he was in the Tin Caps organization, but I didn't know he was with the Padres organization. But I didn't know he was with the Tin Caps. I'll have to see if I can find a Jacob Marcy Tin Caps photo, which would be pretty cool. I'm sure I could. He was 96.3. Local article. I'm sure Wayne has some. I'm sure we have something too. Wayne 15. Jacob Marcy. Oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, he was here in 2023. So it looks like he had a good little stint with us here. So that makes me feel even better about him. And local, well, not really local, but sort of local. Anyway, feel good about the numbers. If nothing else, I know I'm at least getting the steals out of him and probably getting 10 homers or so. The runs and ribbies, somewhat team dependent. I think there's actually some talent between like Agustin Ramirez. Cal Stowers is hurt right now, but some people believe in him. Otto Lopez. I actually think that offense is probably not going to be elite, but isn't going to be completely terrible either. Like I said, I definitely expect the average to go down, but even if he bats like 250, 260, I'm not going to be upset with that in modern baseball. So really feel good about him. I got him. Should have Couch Managers pulled up too. Got him somewhere in the mid-teens. I don't remember exactly what round. Let's pull this up quick. Got him in the 15th round. So I feel like it's a little later than when he was going. I think his ADP was in like the 130s, roughly. So a little further back from his ADP. Not too much of a slide, but yeah. Felt really good to get him. I'm very optimistic. If nothing else, like I said, at least getting the steals. And attaining a little bit of pop. So moving over to my Yahoo leagues, I'd say probably the one name I'm excited for the most. And I'm trying to, because I have a lot of people that I have on multiple teams, so I'm trying to find somebody who I was just able to specifically get on one of these teams. Because honestly, the answer would probably be I have Brent Rooker on both my Yahoo leagues, and I love Brent Rooker, but he was also like a third, fourth round pick, so obviously I expect him to do really good. Yeah, looking here, I think if I had to choose one name on, and this is bats and stats, this is a 6x6 league, I think it'd probably be Luis Robert. Obviously, he's had some pretty rough years the last couple of years with the White Sox, now moving over to the Mets. Don't really know where he's going to hit in the lineup. The Mets they do. So at 1 o'clock, actually, so in about probably 2 hours-ish, the Mets should post their lineup. I'll be very interested to see where he hits in the lineup, but regardless, I guess, honestly, I think either way it's going to be a good situation if he hits near the front of the lineup. I think you see a lot of steals, runs, opportunity. If he's more hitting in like the 5th or 6th slot, then he's going to be hitting in guys like Lindor, potentially Soto, Bo Bichette. That lineup's obviously loaded, so I definitely expect to bounce back. I don't know how much of his struggles were just due to, this is not really something you can quantify, but just the White Sox being so bad that, he just doesn't really, his head wasn't quite in the game, or, heart wasn't in the game, however you want to describe it. But, he's only a couple years removed from a 38-homer, 20-steal season, batting .264. We've seen decent averages out of him before. In 98 games in 2022, batted .284. The year prior, .338 in 68 games. So no talent's there. He's still only 28, or this will be his age 28 season. So I don't really think there's an age. The stolen bases are still there. He actually set a career high last year with 33 stolen bases in only 110 games. Maybe some injury concerns, but like I said, with what I think is going to be a loaded Mets lineup, I feel really good about him having, if nothing else, a serviceable year. Even if a 40-20 season with .260 batting average is no longer attainable, I think the steals will definitely be there, and I trust the counting stats will be there as well. I guess the more I think about it, considering Lindor will be at the top, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he'll probably be batting like 5th or 6th or something like that. So this is the Fangraphs projected lineup. A lot of people like to use this this website or this resource for roster projections and stuff like that. They have him batting 5th. So, like I said, the 4 people ahead of him would be Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Bo Bichette, and Jorge Polanco, which sounds pretty good to me. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they maybe batted him 4th. I guess I don't think Jorge Polanco's awful, but not necessarily a world beater either. So, if he's batting as high as 4th, batting in the cleanup spot, I think that would be super, super nice. And then even behind him, I mean, guys like Brent Beatty, Marcus Semien, Carson Benj, Francisco Alvarez. I mean, that whole lineup, top to bottom, should be solid to elite. So feel really good about that. I got him in the mid-teens as well, I think. I mean, he was my third outfielder in this league. Got him in the 10th round, so 114th overall. So feel good about that. And then going to my last team. Oh, somebody proposed a trade to me. He wants to give me Xavier Edwards and Zach Gallen for Luke Keeschel and Roki Sasaki. Well, I'm going to, let's actually switch to this so we can see me decline this in real time. But I commend this trade because it actually segues into the player that I was going to talk about, which is Luke Keeschel. Now, honestly, he kind of reminds me in a lot of ways of Jacob Marcy. I just think there's a higher floor and higher ceiling, I would say. So looking at his numbers, and he dealt with some injuries last year, but put up some really good numbers when he did play. So in 49 games last year, hit 4 homers, 14 stolen bases, 302 batting average, 25 runs, and 28 RBIs. So, yeah, honestly, if you look at those numbers, other than maybe the plate discipline, I'd say Keeschel has better plate discipline. So 19 walks to 29 strikeouts, which over a 162 game season equates to 63 walks and 96 strikeouts. So yeah, I definitely think the plate discipline's a little better there. Even though, as we showed, Jacob Marcy, especially in the minors, showed really good plate discipline. But yeah, I think they're very similar players. I just like Keeschel a little more even, and he's at second base, so kind of a not the best or deepest position. So I was really happy to get him. I think I got him in like the 10th-ish round, 12th round. Yeah, so I felt really good about that pick. This was my first draft. So I'd be interested to see. Losing track of my tabs here. Let's go to the Twins. Kind of looking at some of his minor league numbers. So yeah, and he was just a higher rated prospect in general. Second round pick once upon a time. So yeah, we see the average has been there. His AAA season was okay. The year prior was fantastic, 903 OPS across 102 games. Yeah, 15 homers, 23 steals. But yeah, really good. I mean, even the 2024, which wasn't exactly the best year in the world, and it was only 28 games, had 17 walks, 17 strikeouts, 11 steals in only 28 games. So it's interesting here. In 2024, he only had 23 steals in 102 games. But last year, 11 and 28 in the minors, and then we just went over he had 14 and 49 in the majors. So maybe his steal upside is not quite as high as Marcy's, but everything else I think is, if not higher. And so getting him, in the 14th round, I felt really, really good about that. I feel good about this team's offense in general. I mean, Juan Soto trio, Brent Rooker, Matt Olson, Willie Adames. Have some average guys like Jacob Wilson help me out. This is an on-base percentage league as well, so having Soto is especially nice. I've never had Soto before either, so I felt good about that. So yeah, that was a really good one. I don't necessarily hate any of my pitchers. I realized I just picked all 3 offensive players, but in all 3 of my leagues, I definitely kind of held off on pitching a little bit, spending the first 5 or 6 picks mostly on hitting. So I guess if I had to pick one pitcher, granted, I have him in 2 of my 3 leagues, but it is Chris Bubich. Looked really good before his injury last year, so I'm excited about him. And then maybe even Andrew Painter, too, I have in 1 league. I know his prospect status is kind of diminished compared to what it was pre his injury stuff, but they gave him a chance. He should get at least a chance for a lot of wins, I would say. So I feel good about that. And that's pretty much all the time we have for today. I guess we didn't get to preview much of tonight's games other than just who was playing. But I thought it would be cool to do one thing before we go. So Ethan Dolan, who was on the most recent episode, which I really appreciate. Hold on. Cord got snagged. was on our most recent episode, and he recently gave me an engagement gift. I got engaged last month, and it got me some junk wax packs. This is 92 Fleer baseball, and then the other one is some 89 Tops, which you can't go wrong with some good old junk wax. And so I think I'm going to open one of them up. Now, 1992 Fleer, was doing some research, not too familiar with the set, but I believe that like the best rookie is Jim Thome. And so we're going to see if we can open this up without ripping it. I don't think there was gum in this pack. There is an 89 Tops, which we'll open in a later episode. Yeah, no gum. But yeah, just the feel of the packs. There is just something about opening up some wax. So we'll see how this goes. So Roger Clemens, career highlights. Oh, cards upside down. Are they all like this? Okay, yeah, I don't know why the one was up topping. So I think Jeremiah Pena. That Andre Dawson? It is. Nice. Not a rookie card or anything, but still cool. Dennis Eckersley. Man, they're just giving us Hall of Famers left and right here. Brian Hickerson. I don't know who that is. Mark Williamson. Same thing. No clue. What is that name? Cedric Landrum. My uncle's a big Cubs fan. I'll have to ask him about that. Danny Cox. Not familiar. Pack started off strong. Bob Walk. That's a crazy name. What does it say? Mel Hall. I actually really like the design. I'm not too familiar with 92 Tops, but I'm actually a big fan of the design here. No, I definitely can't read that. Bruce Hurst with the Padres. Really love the 90s Padres with the pinstripes. Mo Vaughn. There we go. There's a good one. What did I say? Billy Hatcher. I recognize that name. Not too familiar with him, though. What's this? So we have a Superstars. I can't even read that. Superstar Specials. Mark Wallers, Kent Merker, and Alejandro Pena. I guess this was kind of right before the Braves' big run. I can't say I recognize any of those names. And then Mike Christopher. And what does it say? Al Newman. And then the last one is Chris Carpenter. Now, if this is the same Chris Carpenter I'm thinking of, this makes me feel extremely old because I remember, I think he was on the 06 team, 06 Cardinals team that beat the Tigers. I just don't remember it being spelled CRIS, so maybe there are two. Okay, yes, so there are two. That's interesting. So yeah, this Chris Carpenter is different from, because I think the other Chris Carpenter was on the Blue Jays. Yeah, that's funny. He won a Cy Young. Started his career with the Blue Jays and then was with the Cardinals. Yeah, I do not remember him winning a Cy Young. I knew he was solid. Yeah, he won it in 2005. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, that's why I remember him so much against that team the Tigers lost to. And then I remember it was kind of him, and then it bridged from him and Adam Wainwright, who I think was a reliever in 2006. Yes, he was. Yeah, he was a reliever. Actually, that was his last year as a reliever before they converted him to a starter. If I remember correctly, did he get saves for him in the World Series? He got one, but yeah, he pitched 3 innings, 5 strikeouts. Yeah, so dang Cardinals! I remember as a kid being so upset or hating the Cardinals because the 06 team, even though I was too young to watch it. So this is cool. Yeah, the Mo Vaughn. Oh wow, I wonder if this is a rookie. I don't see like a rookie card thing, but it only shows he played 74 games for the White Sox in 91. Interesting. So, yeah, some cool names. Dennis Eckersley, Andre Dawson, Mo Vaughn. So that was cool. Like I said, I don't know when we're going to open up that 89 Tops, but I think that's the Randy Johnson rookie year. So there's some good stuff in that pack. potentially. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Warning Track. Like I said, thankfully I was not sneezing all over the place this time. We'll be really excited to get back tomorrow with a more full-ish slate of games and be able to talk about all that. And until next time, thank you for tuning in and stay safe.
Watch out, it's the Warning Track.